Looking for the best micro ATX cases in 2025? Whether you want a compact PC or need something that fits in a smaller space, these cases offer great performance and cooling. From simple designs to ones with cool RGB features, there's something for everyone. Let's check out the top picks for your next build. Number 5. The Cooler Master Q300LV2. Now you might recognize the name, and that's because it's a follow-up to the original Masterbox Q300L that got real famous in the last few years, and the V2 version adds a couple of key features to the original design, and one of them is a pretty big deal, that is the Type-C connector. That's the main reason it's on our list, especially if you're looking for the port and don't want the more popular Thermaltake Versa H17, which we'll talk about shortly. Think of it as a great alternative if Type-C is a must-have for you. Now this case can handle some pretty beefy hardware. You can fit GPUs up to 360mm, which is great, and it also supports standard ATX power supplies, but it's a bit more limited when it comes to cooling. The biggest radiator you can fit is 240mm, and you only get space for 5x120mm fans or 2x140mm fans. It does come with a nice dust filter and a good amount of space for cable management under the motherboard to make up for it. Here's the thing though, while this case is good, its fan support is just average, and there are no dedicated SSD or HDD slots, although you sure can hook up any of those in your preferred location. I'll say if you absolutely need the Type-C connector, this Cooler Master ATX case is really your best bet in this price range. Number 4. Thermaltake Versa H17. Now smaller cases can sometimes be a pain to cool, especially if you're trying to keep costs down, but not with the Versa H17, which is also quite affordable, but that's not the only reason we're recommending it. After all, this case is sleek, quiet, and really understated. Whether you're planning on using air cooling or liquid cooling, it's pretty much a workhorse that doesn't need to shout about how good it is. It just gets the job done. It comes with a 120mm fan pre-installed in the rear, and you have the option to install 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans in the front, and if you really want to maximize the airflow, you can also throw in a 120mm or 140mm fan at the top. And for you liquid cooling lovers, it supports a 280mm radiator in the front and a 120mm in the rear. Now, drive cages can sometimes be annoying when you're trying to route your cables and get a clean build. That's why the Versa H17 uses hidden drive bays that stay out of the way but still allow for two 2.5-in and two 3.5-in drives at the same time. That's pretty handy, and the ports on the front panel are nicely placed at the top with USB 3.0, USB 2.0, and separate microphone and headset jacks. Besides, like some pricier models out there, the Thermaltake Versa H17 can fit both micro ATX and mini ITX motherboards, so you've got superb flexibility there. The only real downside is that it doesn't have a Type-C port, but that aside, if you're a fan of simple yet effective design and want a solid underrated case that can handle a good amount of cooling, the Thermaltake Versa H17 is definitely worth a look. Number 3. Lian Lancool 205 Mesh. You know, I just couldn't make a list of PC cases without a Lian showing up somewhere, and this one I have here is the younger sibling of the Lian 205C, which is the ATX mid version. Now the 205C does have a few advantages, but the micro ATX version, the 205 Mesh, holds its own, and it does that for one main reason: RGB. Yes, this is our obligatory RGB entry on the list. Some might love it, some might hate it, but you've got to admit, this case looks slick. You get 2 pre-installed 140mm ARGB fans in the front, and there's room for 3 more 120mm fans if you want to go all out. But this case has more to offer than just looks. You've got plenty of space to fit just about any GPU you can find, up to 375mm, and it can handle ATX power supplies up to 180mm and CPU coolers up to 160mm. You can also mount a 240mm radiator either on the top or in the front of the case, and you get those extra SSD and HDD slots that we always appreciate, and it wouldn't be a mesh case if it didn't have a front mesh panel plus 2 dust filters. Now, here we go again. We are hit by the lack of Type-C port epidemic once more, and you do miss out on the third pre-installed ARGB fan that comes with the bigger 205C, but hey, we have the pretty lights to console us, so it's still safe to say that if you're after an ATX case that looks really good, has a good amount of space, and has the trust of Lian, then the Lancool 205 Mesh is surely a worthy choice. Number 2. Thermal Tower 300. Now, Thermaltake's Tower series has always had a very distinct design. You either love it or you hate it, but the Tower 300 actually breaks the mold a bit. Instead of a traditional box shape, it's got this unique front panel cut that gives you a great panoramic view into the case. Here's the thing though, this design also allows the Tower 300 to be laid down effortlessly. How cool is that? Be sure though, you'll need a good amount of space for that maneuver, but if that's not possible, you could also buy Thermaltake's chassis stand kit to try it out, and another extra you can buy is a small LCD monitor that can display your PC temps, act as a clock, or even show the weather, which is pretty neat. Now, honestly, for a micro ATX case, the Thermaltake Tower 300 is big, I mean really big, so laying it down on its side will be a bit of a spatial challenge, but that big size has its benefits. For example, you can fit up to a 420mm radiator, and it can fit up to 6x 140mm fans in addition to the 2 pre-installed ones, so it really prioritizes great airflow. You also get all the connections up front, including a Type-C connector, yep, finally, and it's got pretty well thought out cutouts for managing the cable tangles with ease. But here's the catch, Thermaltake decided for some reason that you don't need immediate access to your motherboard's I/O panel, so they locked it inside the case, so you have to either open the front glass panel or the top of the case to reach it, which is honestly a bit baffling. The thing is, everything else about this case is so fun, cool, and convenient that this one issue just sticks out, so if you don't mind the I/O panel situation and the slightly higher price tag, you're looking at something unique with a lot of cooling potential. Number 1. Pick the Asus Prime AP21. We know PC cases don't usually generate a lot of hype, but this one got pretty close, and for good reason. It has everything a case should have without any unnecessary fluff. Think about it, you've got toolless mesh panels on all 4 sides and support for up to 6 fans, so you know your PC is going to get all the air it needs. The 33L footprint may not be huge, but it really makes the most of that space. It's built to support GPUs up to 338mm and radiators up to 360mm, as well as standard ATX-sized power supplies, so you've got lots of room to build what you want. Then, there are some of the extras that really make it great. You get space for HDDs, a dedicated SSD slot, and several USB connections, including the Type-C connector that we've all been craving, plus there's some hidden space to make your cable management less of a nightmare. When it comes to looks, the Asus Prime AP21 has a really clean design, and it relies on this simple but satisfying mesh for its aesthetic. Sure, some might find it a bit boring, but if you prefer the simple and effective approach, then you're going to love this one. If not, you've also got the option of tempered glass side panels, which are available in both black and white. The only downside is that it can gather dust easily, but if that concerns you only a little, the AP21 is a fantastic, well-designed case, if you're looking for a great ATX case that has great performance and isn't needlessly flashy.